The human body is capable of experiencing a moment of freedom from the constraints of the Earth's gravity through the act of jumping. It's a liberating, primal feeling that we're all familiar with. We can generate enough power to propel ourselves into the air, but it's landing that's the most important part of any airborne action. Practicing landings develops our ability to effectively disperse the forces of impact as we receive the ground. The more reliable our landing ability is, the lower the risk of danger is in many movements, and the more movement potential we develop when it comes to interacting with our external environment. Let's start with some landing techniques on a flat surface. The first thing to make contact with the ground in a jump should be the toes and balls of the feet. Then the legs should start to bend to absorb the shock and eccentrically slow down the force of the landing. Ideally, the heels then come in contact with the ground, providing a stronger base of support to make it easier to balance and control the descent into a squat position. The shoulders remain in line with the hips as the arms swing out in front as a counterbalance while sitting back into the squat position. The depth of your squat will be determined by how much force needs to be mitigated. The squat position has a high level of structural integrity, which is why it's ideal for lifting heavy objects. This position keeps our skeletal structure aligned with the direction of force and allows our muscles to catch and disperse the impact of the landing. Now that the groundwork's been set, let's focus on what you came here for, jumping down to reach a surface that's below your current position. The downward jump is the easiest to initiate as gravity naturally does all the work. The landing is often quite a bit more demanding and technical depending on the height you're jumping from and the surface you're jumping to. To initiate the jump, transition into a deep knee bend to lower your center of gravity. Drive forward just enough to clear the distance required for the jump. Bring your arms back behind you as you drive forward to counterbalance. Swing them as you jump so they are in front of you as you land. If you are clearing a distance as well as a height, this arm swing can be more utilized, but if you're jumping from a height without much distance requirement, the arm swing is not very necessary. While in the air, reach your feet out in front of you and position yourself to receive the landing. When jumping from a relatively greater height, we might not want to absorb the landing solely with our lower body. A foothand landing can disperse a greater amount of impact forces through the entire kinetic chain by transferring some of that load to the upper body after landing. This adaptation happens as we are landing, before the heels would touch the ground if we were doing a regular depth jump landing. As you land on the balls of the feet and begin to absorb the impact with the legs, the arms should be by your side and on their way forward. Instead of the heels coming down as in the regular depth jump landing, they'll stay slightly off the ground. The knees will continue to flex and the body weight will shift forward. As the body descends, reach down with the arms, the hands will make contact to allow the upper body to help dissipate the impact. This adaptation happens as you are landing. As you land on the balls of your feet and begin to absorb the impact with the legs, the arms should be by your sides and on their way forward. Instead of the heels coming down as in a regular depth jump landing, they'll stay slightly off the ground. As the knees continue to flex and the body weight shifts forward, the hands reach down and make contact with the ground to allow the upper body to help receive the landing. You may have to lean forward more or less depending on your landing. If you're landing relatively vertical, the hands will come down between the legs as the elbows bend, pressing against the inner thigh to support the knee. If you lean forward instead as you land, your hands will touch the ground in front of your body and your elbows will bend more to absorb the impact. The more you lean forward, the more force you pass on to your upper body. As soon as the body weight transfer happens from lower body to upper body, the body weight is transferred back to the feet. This is like a front vault on the ground and can be practiced as a ground movement drill on its own. Jumping is usually a transition to another skill like crawling, balancing, rolling, running, climbing, etc. Jumping variations and landing transitions can expand into a seemingly endless array of combinations. If you're jumping down from anything higher than head height, you're probably going to want to consider rolling after your landing. This is pretty complex and deserves a tutorial on its own, so be on the lookout for a future video covering just that. For the time being, use these drills to develop the coordination and skill of throwing yourself and receiving the ground. Breaking a fall sounds like you're trying to resist or stop the fall when really you're receiving the ground. The point here is in the mindset. Jumping down, falling, rolling, all involve the mindset of embracing the ground like a trusted friend, not fighting it off like your mortal enemy. Receiving the ground is about building your relationship with gravity and learning how to ride that wave rather than stubbornly trying to stand up to it crashing into you. Jumping is obviously relevant to sport-specific abilities, but our primary focus in developing such skills is practical application for navigating difficult and complex environments and preventing injury if such skills are demanded in a serious situation. My name is Alex. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions. Don't forget to like the video if you find it helpful and share it if you think someone else could benefit from it. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time.